You type a message, then you stare at it. You read it again, and suddenly something feels wrong. Maybe it sounds awkward. Maybe it sounds too eager. Maybe it sounds like you're saying too much. So you erase it. You rewrite it. You erase it again. And sometimes you just close the chat completely. Not because you had nothing to say, but because something inside you quietly decided it was safer to say nothing at all. The strange part is, this doesn't happen randomly. Your brain is doing something very specific, and once you see it, the pattern becomes hard to ignore. It usually starts small. You want to send a simple message. Hey, are you free later? But your mind immediately begins scanning it. Does this sound annoying? Does this sound desperate? What if they read it the wrong way? So you adjust the sentence. Then you add an emoji. Then you remove it. Then suddenly you're thinking about tone, timing, punctuation, and how this message might look from someone else's perspective. And what began as a 2-second action becomes a 10-minute internal debate. This pattern slowly spreads. You hesitate before asking questions. You delay replies. You reread old conversations, wondering if you sounded strange. And over time, something subtle happens to your identity. You stop trusting your first thought. Your brain learns that expression is risky, and that every word should pass through a kind of invisible approval system first. But here's the important part. This behavior isn't about texting. It's about prediction. Your brain is trying to predict how someone else might judge you. And prediction is one of the brain's favorite survival tools. But sometimes that tool becomes too sharp, and that's where things start to get interesting. If you do this often, it can feel like a flaw, like you're socially awkward or overly sensitive. But in psychology, this pattern is usually something else. It's a form of social threat detection. Your brain has learned that small social mistakes can have consequences: embarrassment, rejection, misunderstanding. So instead of expressing freely, it installs a filter, a quiet system that asks, "Are you sure this is safe to say?" This isn't weakness, it's adaptation. Your brain is trying to protect your social identity, but protection can become overprotection, and that's where the real mechanism begins. In cognitive science, the brain constantly runs something called predictive processing. It tries to predict what will happen next before it happens. This saves energy and prevents mistakes. But when it comes to social situations, predictions become emotional. Your brain simulates the possible reaction of the other person, almost like a mental rehearsal. Imagine your brain as a movie director. Before the message is sent, it quickly runs several possible scenes. Scene 1, they respond normally. Scene 2, they misunderstand you. Scene 3, they think you're awkward. Scene 4, they ignore the message. Each scene creates a small emotional signal, and your brain automatically avoids the scenes that feel threatening. So instead of sending the message, it edits the script, or deletes it entirely. This process also activates the anterior cingulate cortex, a region involved in detecting social errors. The same brain area that reacts to physical pain also reacts to social rejection, which means to your brain, an awkward message can feel like a real threat. So your mind slows everything down: analyze, rewrite, pause, protect. But if that protective system stays active too often, it quietly disconnects you from something important: spontaneity. And that's where change becomes possible, not by forcing confidence, but by retraining the brain's prediction system. Here are 4 principles that help. 1. Send one message without editing. Type a simple message and send it without rereading. Why it works? This interrupts the brain's predictive loop. You show your nervous system that expression can happen without overanalysis. Example: Instead of adjusting, "Hey, are you free later?" 3 times, you send it immediately. Your brain learns that nothing catastrophic happens. 2. Delay the analysis. If the urge to reread appears, tell yourself you can analyze it later. Why it works? The brain calms when it knows a concern isn't ignored, only postponed. Example: send the message, then review it mentally after 5 minutes. Most of the time, the emotional charge disappears. 3. Reduce the social magnification. Your brain often assumes the other person is analyzing your message as deeply as you are. But cognitive psychology shows something called the spotlight effect. People are far less focused on you than you think. Example: the message that felt awkward to you was probably read in 3 seconds, then forgotten. 4. Treat messages as drafts of connection, not final statements about who you are. Why it works? Identity pressure decreases when communication is seen as flexible. Example: if something sounds unclear, you can simply clarify later. Conversation is a process, not a performance. In the end, this entire pattern can be understood through one simple idea. Your brain is trying to edit reality before it happens, like a cautious editor rewriting every sentence before it reaches the page. But real connection doesn't happen in edited scripts. It happens in imperfect sentences, half-finished thoughts, and small moments of unfiltered honesty. The more your brain sees those moments survive, the less it feels the need to protect you from them. So the next time you find yourself staring at a message, wondering if it sounds right, pause for a moment, not to edit it, but to notice what your brain is trying to do. It's trying to keep you safe from misunderstanding, from embarrassment, from being seen the wrong way. But sometimes the safest thing for your identity is allowing yourself to be slightly unedited, because connection rarely begins with the perfect message. It usually begins with the one you almost didn't send.